Hello everybody, welcome to some tips and tricks. For those of you who are having difficulty landing, it seems very turbulent, windy, it's just hard to land overall. In career mode, this might be a trick for you. I want you to go down here to layers, then go advanced, then click weather layer wind, then you can switch this to high winds. That's higher up out in altitude, depending on what plane you're flying. These are for like jets or anything that get high, way high up. This is low to mid, around the teens altitude. I'll show you what the wind is. And the most important one, ground wind. You want to see how windy it is. Some days, most days, at least for the US, it can be very windy around here at ground level. And what that means is going to be a lot of crosswind or potential for crosswind. So that's one thing you want to look out for. Don't worry about clicking precipitation. Yeah, that can cause some turbulent weather if you want to look at that. But if it's going to cause turbulent weather, then you're going to see that with wind. So what you want to use, again, layers, advanced, wind, then ground for your landing. This is going to be the most important. For those of you who have problems landing or you find it very difficult, that's just one thing you can do. Of course, another thing you could do, filters, difficulty, put 1 star or 2 stars. Then pick the airplane you want to fly. And whether you want to be freelancer or employee, it works the same. And if you're interested in flying a particular aircraft, so especially if you're flying the 172 Skyhawk, the wind is definitely going to matter, especially at ground. But it's going to matter for any aircraft. I've noticed out in the Midwest, it's usually not as windy. So today is actually a pretty good day overall anywhere to fly, at least at ground level. If we look at mid or low altitude, it's still pretty windy. 34 knots, look at this, 34 knots. 11 knots are okay, 34 knots you start getting into some problems because you'll be flying that on approach. 17 knots here in the green, and then here in the yellow, it's around 30 knots or more. So you want to look at that, okay? Really consider that, especially on approach. Look at these winds over here. Also, same problem. Now, if the airport's in this direction, then you have nothing to worry about. But let's say you're coming in this way, and you've got a problem, at least on your approach, until you get down to ground level, okay? And even then, you're going to have some problems, maybe, depending on the aircraft you're flying. So that's just some tips and tricks you can do, okay? That's all I really wanted to share. I wanted to do a mission here. Let's go back to the always loved Cirrus Vision Jet. Everybody seems to love that. So you notice I have 1 and 2 stars. I'm just going to leave it at 1 star. These are my filters here. Then I look at the wind. The other thing you can do is look at where your airplane is. The closer the job is to your actual airplane location, the less the transfer cost. You probably already know that. Let's just jump into a flight here. Another thing you want to do is you don't want to go to a short runway. Maybe you want a longer runway. I know from experience that these are all short runways, 45G, anything a name like that, or CO3. These are very small airports with very small runways. So you want to look for something with a little bit more runway. All of these are just going to. Now I found out going here is where you're more likely to find a better flight, like this one. It's going to KMGN. That looks good. Only an hour and 30 minutes. Look over here. Also this one, only 1 hour going to KID. Let's take this one. So we look at the wind here. It doesn't look like a problem. Let's look at high altitude. It is going to be a problem, especially if we're flying into the wind. Low, it's not too bad, but it's going to be a little bit of a crosswind, at least on final, before you get close enough to the actual landing. So here's a good one. And you got something like KIWD, that usually means it's a big airport. Of course, you can zoom in to the actual airport, and you can see it is a big airport. It is a long runway. That's what we want. So we're going to go ahead and take that. It's going to be far away from my airplane, so it is going to cost a little more to transfer the plane. Actually, no, it's only 500 credits to move the airplane. Not sure why that is, but yeah, I'll take it. Now, another thing you could do, look at your flight plan. Now, it's going to create a flight plan for you. I have the basic game. I don't have premium or anything. No add-ons either. I have ILS 27. It's great. I want to do an ILS. IWD, let's see how that looks. I change procedures, and you want to zoom in again. Have a look at it. It has a procedure turn in it. Then IF 27. I'm not sure. I might have to get rid of the procedure turn if we're able to. But that's not the important thing. Again, you don't have to worry about your departure procedure or your arrival procedure. Not to start with, not for basics. That's only if you want more immersion. But you really want to worry about the approach. click Arrival Airport Information, click Runways. There's a headwind, only a slight headwind. That's what you want. You do not want a tailwind, only if it's very slight. In gray means it's okay, it's not that much problem. A 9-knot crosswind is still something, preferably under 9, under 8 would be better, would be preferable. But we have to take what we can get, and this looks okay, it looks acceptable, but it can change on your way. It can change. At least that's been my experience. As far as altitude, I'll make it 15,000 feet. I'm not really sure what altitude. Maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, depending on clouds. Other thing I like to do, click Navlog. I'd like to start the stopwatch so I can speed up and slow down the sim rate. You have to bind a key for that. Then make sure in real time. And once you do click this on, you will have to make sure you're in real time often, because it will sometimes slow down the sim rate on you, or even speed it up on final. Other thing you want to click, flight details. I like to make it a VFR flight. Okay, that brings me to another thing. Now, you can make it a VFR flight, but you don't know if the arrival airport will accept a VFR flight. So, what we can do, I'm going to send this to ATC and avionics, but we can change it again. The last thing you want to do, Q on your keyboard, click it while you're in this map here. Then with W, A, S, and D, at least on keyboard, I'm not sure what it is for PS5, you can come down here and zoom in and see what it actually looks like. See if there's any weather. See if it's cloudy. Make sure you have clouds enabled. We're just zooming down. This greenish line here will be actually the altitude you're going to be at. And you can see it's a very clear day. You have nothing to worry about here. So we see the arrival airport, at least for now, it's clear, free and clear. You can look around, see if there's any potential rain or weather developments in the area that you'll need to worry about later. Like maybe this will come in, make it a little bit foggy upon landing. We don't know, but it looks good to me. So that's the last thing you can check. You do all these things to determine what the weather's like at the arrival airport and what the wind is like so you can land your airplane. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in here. Only 500 credits, even though it's far away from my aircraft. Not sure why that is. Oh, that's why, because it's not the aircraft I want. I'm going to change aircraft, click here, click transfer, 15,000, I'll take it. Then what you want to do, click this again, click select, then click back again, accept mission. Okay, here it is. It's a 2-star mission. Sometimes it'll say it's a 1-star mission, but you actually go in, it'll say it's a 2-star mission, but that's okay. We've already checked everything out. It should be okay. Just jump in. Okay, here we are. I'm using a 6950 XT graphic card with 16 gigabytes of VRAM, an AMD 7600X Radeon Ryzen 5 7600X processor, and I have 32 gigabytes of DDR5 6400 CL32 RAM. It's clocked at 6200 though, to make it stable. Okay, I'm going to take everything off at once. Now for more immersion, you can take everything off one at a time, but I like to remove everything at once with Alt-Q. Let's jump in the aircraft. Take out these pins. Let's go and start on the aircraft. Batteries 1 and 2, generators 1 and 2, shift 6, engine out to run, listen for the fuel pump, engine start, shift 2. You want to watch everything rise up into the green. You want to make sure everything rises up into the green. While we're here, we're going to put in 1 notch of flaps for takeoff flaps. B on your keyboard, not sure what it is for PS5, you can see that right here. Confirm fuel, FOB sync, go back, flight plan. Anything in white, click done. Now we see a procedure turn here. Let's see if we can get rid of this. Yes, we can. We've got rid of the procedure turn. Flight plan looks good. Now it's an ILS, so we need to come to our flight plan. Again, click Arrival Airport Information, click Charts, click Approach, and then click 27. If nothing shows up, that's okay, just click FAA. We know it's ILS localized 27, you can see that here. We want to confirm our ILS frequency. We're going to do that by clicking Audio and Radios, 111.5. So click here, click Transfer, then click to enable Nav1. That's set up. Another thing we can do is, well, we don't have to do, but we can. We know we need to be at 2,800 feet to intercept the glide slope to take us down to the runway for the localizer. But we can also see that here, if we can confirm it here. We said it was 2,700 feet. Now this says we have a conflict. It says 2,300 feet here. So we're going to go with this one, 2,300 feet, just for the runway. We'll just keep that in mind for right now. Other thing you want to do, you want to click Master Oxygen, Fresh Air, and Probe Heat. The Probe Heat usually doesn't come on until just before takeoff. We'll see you just before the runway. Okay, I've skipped to just before takeoff. Everything enabled. Since it's minus 8 degrees, you can see that here. I'm going to go ahead and enable engine anti-ice. And we're going to set up the autopilot suite. It's going to put in 15,000 feet. Flight level change for 15,000 feet. You can see that up here and here. Flight level change, 15,000 feet. Now we want to take this blue, the heading bug. That'll be this blue thing here. You want to make sure it's lined up with the GPS line. As see here, lined up with the GPS line. And you want to click heading bug. I like to click full screen here. I can see what I'm doing. Let's go ahead and get up out of here. Now I have my settings set to ultra, with the exception of TLOD and LOD and texture resolution. They are set to 200 and texture resolution is set to medium. Everything else is set to ultra, except for ray march reflections and ray tracing. It depends on what I'm playing. Sometimes I have very high FPS. Sometimes I have middle to low FPS. I'm not sure why that is. I think it has something to do with streaming the game, because not all assets are actually loaded in the game. They have to be streamed. That will bring back your FPS, so what I've read. Anyway, what I like to do is, I like to put on the parking brake, put on give it full power, takeoff power, wait till my RPMs rise way up, release the parking brake, here we go. Everything looks good in the green, airspeed's alive, 85 knots will be our rotation speed. V1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. We'll wait till we're above 115 knots to put flaps up. Above 115 knots, flaps up. I'm just going to gain some altitude. Still flying the plane manually. You want to try to follow the magenta line here as best you can. Okay, we can see where we're going right here. Now I'm flying to the magenta line by myself so I can intercept it and just click navigation mode here. In fact, I've clicked it, but it's still following the heading bug. I'm going to go ahead and click autopilot, activate. GPS is on standby, heading bug is active. As it gets closer and closer, it'll switch over all by itself, and there it's switched over. See that here? And we follow the magenta line now to the airport. We'll see what flight altitude. Okay, we've reached flight altitude. See it here, altitude set, 15,000. Autopilot and yaw damper has been enabled automatically following GPS to the airport. Here's our altitude, here's our speed. Make sure you don't overspeed, bring back the throttle a little bit, or you can set manual throttle, whatever you want. Now what we want to do is come back down to our flight plan. We know we need to be at 2,300 feet just for the runway, rounding down. So that's what I'm going to select here for my flight altitude. Matter of fact, just to be sure, I always set it a little bit lower, but you can set it right at 2,300 if you want, maybe 2,200. Then click vertical navigation mode, armed. Make sure it's armed here. V path is on standby for 2,200 feet. And what that will do is it will create a top of descent. We scroll out using this knob here. And you can see here we do have a top of descent. Once the aircraft reaches that point, the autopilot will start bringing the aircraft down just in time to hopefully intercept the localizer and glide slope to land. That's what we just did there. And that's what we did when we enabled V-Path for 2,200 feet, which we got from right here. Just before the runway, 2,300 feet is where we need to be at. Okay, we'll see you once we reach top of descent. Getting ready to come up to our top of descent, we want to make sure that the V-path that's on standby enables and that we start coming down. Okay, V-path has been enabled. It's in green now and we're starting to come down. Now, two things. Since our next waypoint will be our ILS approach waypoint, transition waypoint. Want to click approach, activate approach. The only thing that allows you to do by doing that is you can click approach much sooner. Otherwise, you have to wait until you've made the turn for you to click approach on final. But this, now you should be able to click it. Even now, you can click it on. If you did not click this, this would not enable until after you've turned onto final. And final is basically this gray line right here. That lets you know that you have indeed activated approach. And what this line is basically this line. Now all we have to do is monitor our speed. Bring back the speed a little bit. Okay, we'll see you right around final or right around the ILS transition waypoint. Other thing you want to do is you want to monitor your altitude. We know we need to be at 3,300 feet. That's what's been put on standby here. And you want to make sure the plane's coming down enough to coincide with this number as you get closer or as you get to that waypoint. That's what you want to monitor. If you're not coming down fast enough, you can try clicking flight level change for 2,200 feet. And then after you've come down a bit, then disable flight level change and it should keep coming down. I've enabled approach mode, and what that did was put the glide slope and localizer on standby. Glide slope V just means it hasn't reached the correct altitude yet, but it should. We'll see how that goes. Only other thing you need to know, to put the gear down, we need to be at or below 210 knots. You can see that here. Put the gear down. And for 1 notch of flaps, we need to be below 190 knots. For 2 notch of flaps, below 150 knots. Let's bring our speed back, way back. I'm bringing my throttle back to about half. We're below 190 knots. You can see that here. I'm going to put in 1 notch of flaps, and we can see that here. 1 notch flaps coming in, and put my throttle back to half, because I want to slow down the aircraft for landing. Now we need to be below 150 knots. You can see that here. When it gets within the white area, that lets you know you can enable 2nd notch flaps. I've enabled the approach mode again. I've enabled approach mode here. Localizer again on standby, and the glide slope. Now if it's a long runway, you can land with 1 notch of flaps. 2 notch of flaps is usually just for shorter runways. But it depends on the weather, it depends on a lot of things. Or so I've read. I'm no pilot. We're getting ready to come up onto final. You can see that because the magenta line is lined up with the gray dotted line. Localizer, glide slope, still on standby. If it doesn't change over by yourself, that's okay. You can come down here to nav source and you can click it yourself. We're below 150 knots. I'm going to go ahead and put in 2nd notch of flaps and put the gear down. Full flaps, gear down, half throttle. But we have a problem. The airport's right in front of us. I don't know what happened here. Well, this is great. Let you know there's something wrong with the game here. We were way too high and I wasn't paying attention. I will have to do a go around. That's great. Let's go ahead and do this then. We need to be at 3,300 feet. So that's what I'm going to put in here. I'm going to put in 3,300 feet. 3,300 feet, flight level change. I'm going to disactivate vertical navigation. I'm going to give it more speed. Take out 1 notch flaps. I want to go to IWD. Bring the speed to half again. I'm going to click IWD down here and click Direct 2. Activate Direct 2. Only having 1 notch of flaps. I'm at half speed. Now, instead of going to IWD for the hold pattern and communicating with ATC about your missed approach, instead what we're going to do is we're going to come back down here to our flight plan again, and we're going to go back to the transition waypoint. I'm going to go ahead and click approach again, click activate approach, and it'll take us straight back there, okay? And we also haven't been following our ATC communications. That's my bad, because I had this unclicked. So when I get back there, I can just click this to announce final when ready. And we're not going to be ready because we're going back to our transition waypoint to start all over again. But this is what you do. This is how you do a missed approach in this aircraft. No big deal. Nothing to worry about. I'm going to go ahead and take flaps all the way out so I can get more speed. I'm going to put the gear up. That's one thing I should have done sooner. Again, I want to put in a V path for 2,200 feet. Click vertical navigation mode. See if we have a top of descent again. We do have a top of descent right here. So far, this has gone well. So again, we've enabled vertical navigation. We've activated approach. Well, once we get back to final, we'll click approach mode once again. We still have to come around until we've reached final, right around here. Top of descent is here, we'll be coming down. At that waypoint, we need to be at 3,300 feet. But I think that's a little bit too high. So I'm going to click flight level change. It's going to bring me down a bit. Once I get the sync rate notification, I'm just going to click altitude hold mode. It's already been enabled. The plane is pulling up. And now we're at 2,200 feet. I've done this on purpose. I'm going to go ahead and put the gear down and slow down the aircraft. Since we're below 210 knots. Still at 2,200 feet. Below 190 knots. When I put them in 1 notch flaps again. Try to slow down my aircraft. I'm still at half throttle. I might be a little low now, but I'm going to take it. Just to make sure I'm low enough to intercept the glide slope. The glide slope should be somewhere up here. But we have not yet activated approach. Now the speed is much preferable. I have in 1 notch flaps and the gear down. That just allows me to slow down the aircraft. I'm handling the speed manually. I'm going to go ahead and click to announce final. Okay, our communications have been taken care of. Since it was a VFR flight, we didn't have to answer much. Once again, I've come down using flight level change just to make sure I'm low enough to intercept the glide slope because I was too high. Even though I was at 3,300 feet at the last waypoint just before the runway, where it said I was supposed to be, I was way too high. I think that's a bug in the game. I'm not really sure. We're turning on to final. I'm going to click approach mode again. Approach mode activated. Localizer glide slope on standby once again. Speed looks good. Landing speed needs to be around 90 knots. That's where I like to have it anyway. Sometimes a little faster depending on the amount of crosswind. And we don't know how this is going to go. It does seem like there is some turbulence and some wind. Some things can change in a second. Turning on to final now. I'm sorry if you can't see that, but right up here in the left corner, that's the Radeon RX 6950 XT graphic card. 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Just so you know. Everything else you can read. AMD Radeon Ryzen 5 7600X processor. 32 gigabytes of DDR5. 6400 CL32 RAM. For any of those who want to know. We're right around landing speeds. That's good. I'm going to give it a little bit more speed. Not too much. Just a little bit above half with gear down and 1 notch flaps. The runway looked big enough, so I think I'm just going to land with 1 notch flaps. Approach mode is still active. I'm sorry. Approach mode has still been active. Okay, localize, captured the localizer. Now it still has to capture the glide slope, which is up here. You can see that right here. It's captured the localizer. Glide slope is up here. It has to be here. It's right here. Okay, we can see here, glide slope is starting to come down. Hopefully we'll intercept it. It'll take us the rest of the way down to the runway. Still in standby. GS, coming down. We're in real time. You want to check that before landing. Glide slope has been activated. It'll follow that down to the runway. We need to slow down our speed. Taking the speed out to 1/4 speed. Until I reach about 100 knots, then I'll put it back to half throttle. And I do want to let out the autopilot now, so I can test fly and see how much turbulence there is. I'm just handling the speed manually, giving in and letting out throttle as need be.
500.
And that will let me know how much I'm going down, at what rate of speed I get to come down. Giving a little bit more speed now, only having 1 notch flaps. I'm just below half speed. I'm going to give some more speed, just to make sure I can reach the runway. Just giving speed and letting out speed, keeping it around 1/2 throttle, right around there. I'm going to aim for those little white lines at the beginning of the runway. That's what you want to aim for. That's what you want to come down to. Keeping your throttle at or below 100. I'm a little fast. That's okay. I'm going to take my throttle all the way out now. I'm going to look towards the end of the runway. I'm going to pull back just a little bit, and don't pull back too hard. It's going to glide in. Just manage it in. It's coming down smoothly. Perfect landing. This was perfect. Missed approach, everything. We've done it all. This is going to be one of the best videos I've ever done, and one of the best video flight tutorials you're going to see on YouTube. It's not exact. I'm no pilot. I'm no expert. But as far as gaming wise, this was, come on, it was good. It was really good, right? Am I wrong? Let me know. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Some pilot's just gonna have to school me in the comments maybe and let me know everything I did wrong and just how unprofessional this was, anything like that. But you know what? I'm okay with it because for me, this was awesome. For other people, maybe not. Maybe it wasn't nowhere near immersive enough for them. For me, this was great. And for just your regular gamers out there, I think this would be great. Let's go ahead and announce taxi to final. Let's inform our passengers we don't want to mess up communications. We don't know what our score is going to be though. Maybe we're still going to get a bad score. Perfect. Enable parking brake. Shift 1. Turn off everything except the batteries. Clean up flaps. Flaps up. Make sure everything's still in the green. Everything looks good. Then batteries 1 and 2 off. Shift 6. Engine up 2 off. Engine stop. You want to make sure you're in real time again too. I'm anxious to see how we did. This was good. At least that's my opinion. What do you think? Awesome. S tier, baby. Oh yeah, we're good to go. We'll take it. Now we're not going to get paid much because it was a very short flight. Even though it was a longer flight because we had to go around. Hey, come on, man. This was good. See how much we got paid. Yeah, 200,000. Okay, not bad. Since we're in S tier. Oh, come on. You've had to have liked this. If you did, think about giving a like. Think about subscribing. I know some of you have learned so much. Or have the potential to. Or maybe not, depending on how much experience you have with the game. Man, we'll see you in the next one. This has been great. At least for me it has. Give it a like. Think about subscribing. I'm a new channel. I need all the help I can get. But if not, hey, it's all love. We love you all. Take care. Have a good one. See you next one. Bye.